Massachusetts. We're in the route of looking at churches, and we're going to look at the Immaculate Conception Church first. This is a convent in front of us. It's on Adams Street. It wasn't made to be a convent, so it was a home, and then it was a convent for about 100 years, and then it turned back into a home. And we're going to show you all the features of 2 churches and 1 big cemetery in some neighborhood. So in front of you, you see the big church of the Immaculate Conception. The parish is called Our Lady of the Valley. You're looking at the very side of the church. Okay, to your left-hand side, you see the Immaculate Conception school. It was a grammar school in kindergarten to 8th grade, and it opened up in the year 1909. So nuns in a convent served the children in the school. We're traveling along Kiefer Street, very, very rutted with potholes. Alright, now we're looking at the entire campus of the Sacred Heart of Jesus Church, and this is a rather big church. You have in here in the back a big backyard, and there's a social center back here, and we're going to go to the front of the church so you can see that beautiful front. But from this position here, you should be able to see the wooden clapboard church of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. It was built for the Polish ethnic group. It was built in the year 1906, and it was served as a missed church, then as a regular church. And it's only about 200 yards away from the former church that the Polish group would use anyway, so they just moved up to church. Now, a lot of things are on this campus, and so we're not only going to point out that church, we're also going to point out that around here you have the courtyard, and in the back is the rectory. In the back of that is the social center, and it's a big yard back there. And then along the sides of it, you have the convent in a Neo-Georgian style. And just beyond it is the Sacred Heart Grammar School, where it was kindergarten to 8th grade. And this whole campus is very nice. Sadly, when it was a joining together of Sacred Heart and the Immaculate Conception, that was in the year 2010. This one ceased a lot of its functions. Here at this position, you get to see the Sacred Heart School. Right, it's rather large. People say inside is very big inside. And towards the back, we're looking into the back of the school, and then you see the social center back here. Right, they call it the main kitchen, Our Lady of the main kitchen. Then you have the garage, the rectory. Right, then you have the church in front of you, and then the convent. Is a big campus with a lot of features around it, and a lot of them are still open. Right. And the biggest one of all, I think the school is bigger, actually bigger than the church itself. It's so big. Okay, next we're going to visit the St. Bridget Cemetery. And this is going to be in a workers' neighborhood where the West Williston Mill and the Williston Mill had worker neighborhoods. And we're right in front of the cemetery now. And to our right is the worker homes, of which there are very many on this Everett Street. And we're going to go into the second gate. And as soon as you walk around here, you notice a lot of Irish names, French Canadian names, and Polish names, because it served all those ethnic groups. And so there's stones of all of them. Now, to your side, you see the grave for Patrick Doyle. And I put a picture of him on my website, and he was memorialized in this position here. And this is not even a priest circle, so they must have really loved the guy. They put him on a separate memorial section. And you can see some enormous stones and very gorgeous stones on both sides. This one right here is the McCarthy stone. Has a Mary on top with holding a cross for Jesus, and then beyond is the Sheehan stone. It's very, very large. Now in front of us, Richard Walsh has a big stone to the side of this priest circle, but inside the priest circle you see the angel on top of a large pillar, and then you see in front of it two priest stones. One of them is for Richard Walsh, and he was the founder of the cemetery. And then the other one is for Jeremiah Twomey, who was the founder of this parish. Now, he died in 1874, I believe, 73. And the cemetery didn't exist yet. And I've gone through all the death records of Easthampton, and notice he's the only Catholic from the 1870s that's buried in Easthampton. And there's no Catholic cemetery. So I think what happened, he was buried alongside the church, the Immaculate Conception Church. Right? And then back here, you got paupers' graves all the way back, and you got baby sections all the way back. Right? So you should go visit them. And back there's the reservoir called Lower Mill Pond. And you should visit that. Now off to our immediate right, there's another gravestone. And that beautiful gravestone has a nice little look to it. And that's for Insoslius Lenz. He was the second pastor of the Sacred Heart of Jesus Church. And he's buried in the priest circle here, died in 1914. All we do is travel around this cemetery and show you some features. Here you see individual graves in front of you, which again have all three ethnic groups, and then the family section towards the front. Okay, and you'll see the main gates in front of us. The main gates have in copper plate the name of the cemetery, St. Bridget Cemetery, emblazed right upon it. Now in this other back part of the cemetery, there's another pauper section and more baby section. And so always go back to these two sections so you can see the very unique gravestones that were used on individuals and not babies. Vastly different from the big family stones out in front. So this, if you look right away, you see a wooden cross, Therese Brer, but you see small stones all over the place. And these are where the paupers were buried, or the individuals, and some of the babies were buried here too. And so when it's dry weather, go out there and read some of them right up to the edge of the land that rims the reservoir. Alright, now we're going to go back to Immaculate Conception Church, and I'm going to show you the rectory, and I'm going to show you where possibly Jeremiah Toomey was buried in the very beginning. And you're going to see, you saw the worker houses around this area, but you're going to see some regular residential houses along your right-hand side. There's a nice blue and yellow one along this side, and then there's several more here. So you get to see not only the regular houses, but some very unique look to some of the older houses. Some of these houses are up to 180 years old. This red one and white one is probably the oldest of all. Yeah, it says 1800. Okay, we'll go back into the grounds of the Immaculate Conception Church, and you see the school in front of you. This is the back of the school, and then you see the back of the church and the back of the rectory. All right, and where I think the priest was buried, I think the priest was buried in this little grotto over here, and they had to move him because the size of the church increased greatly from 1868 church up to the 1884 church. It was an enormous rise in size, and I think he was buried right there alongside that church. Okay, and then we're passing in front of the enormous Immaculate Conception Church. It's called Our Lady of the Valley, but still called Immaculate Conception Church. And we're passing in front of the convent, and one more glance at that beautiful church view to your left, and you can see that we went through two churches which are always been side by side with each other physically and spiritually, and then the cemetery that they shared through all those many years. So thank you for coming on this tour of Easthampton.